Hi everyone. On August 16th, the Holy Orthodox Church celebrates a man who might be considered the epitome of a Christian physician. Now his name was Diomedes, and Diomedes hailed from the city of Tarsus, was brought up in a family that was very caring and loving, and so from a fairly early time in his life, he also inherited these types of qualities from his parents and became someone who was dedicated to Christ, but was also most compassionate towards all people. And eventually he decided that he wanted to become a physician. So he studied medicine, attained to a high degree of skill, and began his practice, where he cured many thousands of people. And on top of that, he didn't charge them anything. So his fame became quite widespread. But he was also very much interested in the spiritual qualities of the person as well as their physical ones. And so he would instruct people. He would counsel people with many of their problems. He himself was leading a life of passionlessness as much as he could. And because of his caring for both soul and body, he was able to convert many people. Now, this was in a very pagan area. The year was 288, and during this time there was a devil sitting on the throne of the empire, and his name was Diocletian. Now, as the fame of Diomedes spread rapidly, he moved out from his local area and began going to many areas in order to cure and help as many people as he can, and also to instruct them in the faith. Well, Diocletian became aware of this famous physician, as you might imagine, and was also rather miffed that he was converting so many people to the faith of Jesus Christ, because Diocletian was very much a rabid pagan. So he sent his soldiers to go and apprehend Diomedes, and they did, and they were on their way to the emperor for the interrogation when Diomedes suddenly asked his two soldiers if he could have a moment alone. Well, the soldiers thought that he simply had to attend to the functions of nature at that moment. But in fact, Diomedes walked over to the side of them, knelt down in prayer, and he asked the Lord to take him. And the Lord, seeing a future martyric struggle, granted him his wish. And so Diomedes fell to the ground right in front of his captors. Well, they were astonished by this, and they were also quite fearful, because they knew that the emperor who had placed Diomedes in their charge was not going to be happy with them. So what they decided to do, in all carelessness and without any sort of careful consideration of the human body, lobbed off Diomedes' head. And at that moment, they became blind. Because of this blindness, they were even more fearful. They didn't know what to do, so they scattered about, grabbed Diomedes' head, put it into a bag, and finally stumbled their way back to the emperor. The emperor, upon seeing them, was not happy with them at all, because he really wanted a chance to interrogate Diomedes, especially as Diomedes had such a following everywhere he went. Well, when they took the head out of the bag and they showed it to the emperor, it says, and in fact not just in his life but even into his service in the Matins service itself, that great light shined forth from Diomedes' head and reflected upon all that were there. And the emperor, even seeing this, remained stony and unmoved. And so he said, "Take the head, take it wherever you want, put it back with the body." Now the guards were very happy about this because they were afraid for their lives, even though they had already lost their sight. And so they stumbled back eventually to the body of Diomedes. And they saw that there was a crow standing near the body, and it was cawing loudly, and it was keeping all of the other birds of prey away from the body of Diomedes. And so they took the head, and they placed it back where it would normally go on his body. Immediately upon doing that, they received their sight back, and in fact became great advocates for the faith of Christ after that. They were so terribly sorry for what they had done, and so they went out, and by their own testimonies, they too were able to convert many, many people to the faith of Jesus Christ. Eventually, a woman named Petronia, who had been one of the patients of Diomedes, took his body and severed head and put it into a casket and had it laid to rest with all reverence and honor as might befit someone who was martyred for Christ. And it was only at this point, when his relics were laid to rest, that the crow finally flew away and disappeared from sight. So the testimony of the Lord in regards to Diomedes shows that compassion, loving kindness, freely willing to be able to help anyone who needs it, to cure ailments as best as a human being can do for another human being, is something that the Lord takes to his own heart and thereby glorifies all of those who are connected with such a man. Bye-bye.